That's my baby. I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What is going on, world? A2D family. How are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Thank you for letting us in your kitchen. If you know Philly the podcast, I love my analogies. But let's do this right. What is going on, world? It is your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and I got my boy with me as always, Brandon. What is going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just excited to keep collab with A2D Radio on this Saturday, man.
Yes, sir. And if you do not know, we are from Philly the podcast. So we appreciate, like he said, Tom and the family at A2D letting us on here to come spit our rap. You know what I'm saying? Come do what we do. Before we do get into what we do, I do have to shout out Dr. Vidal at Specialized Therapy, 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They are our doctor. We want you to make them yours. So today we are going to talk a little bit of draft talk. No Carson, no drama. No, well, there's gonna be drama, but there's always drama. No hashtag, fire Howie today. We're gonna talk about is the number 6 spot Howie proof. Now, before we get into like the specifics of it, give me your overall thought on that question. What do you think? Just right there. We'll start there. Do you think that this number 6 spot is Howie proof?
Man, is anything on this team Howie proof at this point? I mean, you would hope that this number 6 spot is Howie proof because you're pretty much guaranteed to get someone in the top of their position, whatever position at this point. If you want to go linebacker, defensive back, wide receiver, you're getting the best of the best in college at that position. So the only way Howie can mess this up, I mean, we'll get into it, but it has to be Howie proof. I mean, right? It has to be.
I hope so. Look, with Howie Roseman, I feel like a lot of people are saying, he's going to do a Howie Roseman type thing and go grab a quarterback. Depending on who that quarterback is, obviously everybody's going crazy about us going to Trevor Lawrence's, or that's his name, right? Trevor Lawrence's pro day. Everybody's going crazy about that. I don't think there's anything to that. I think it's just due diligence. Clemson has some good wide receivers that were actually running routes for him, so maybe there's more of a connection there. But look, we did this on our channel. We did the Eagles pick, and we had, a whole bunch of Eagles content creators. Shout out to all of them that did that. But this is going to be our take. This is going to be our opinions on it. So what we're going to start with, we're going to go down everything. So we're going to do positions of need, who will be there, who we should not pick, which I think hopefully Howie's tuned in at that point. And then we'll finish it off with how this can be Howie proof, how we can, what Howie can do to make sure he doesn't Howie the draft, I guess we can call it. So let's start from there. Let's start from the beginning. Where do you see the biggest positions in need at this moment? And then I'll get into my thoughts.
Yeah, the biggest position of need for this Philadelphia Eagles team, honestly, you can go 2, and I'm going to go on the defense. I think either defensive back or linebacker. Those, I feel like, are 2 most important positions we need to fill. You can go wide receiver. That's the sexier pick. That's the exciting pick, and it can always bolster our offense. And we'll get into who we think we should pick. And I mean, I'm never against making our offense spectacular, but if you really dive in and look at the team, our defensive backs, man, we have no safeties and we have 1 corner. It's a tragedy. I don't know how he's going to do, or if we're really going to be able to develop the younger guys that haven't, for a Jaquette, right? He came in, he was kind of thrown into the fire and he looked terrible, but he has the size to potentially be good. So maybe we can develop guys like that. But when you're looking at it from the outside in, defensive back is a big issue. And then obviously linebacker, outside of maybe Singleton that showed out, he's kind of getting up there in age. So we don't really have a young core that looked promising. I don't know much about Davion Taylor or Sean Bradley because they weren't given the opportunity to really do anything last year. So maybe they're good. and we just didn't see it because they weren't able to play. But those two positions are my position of needs for this team right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we both started off like in the. Well, I mean, it's not even off season really. We just started the off season,
Right.
but I think once
like
the
it's
season
decades.
ended, yeah, seriously, once the season ended, I should say, excuse me. I think we were both kind of on the wave of like, let's just go get the sexy pick, let's go get that wide receiver. But as you said, like we looked more into the roster, looked more at what we have, and we don't have any defense. And you can even go deeper than linebacker and cornerback and say a lot of our money is tied up on our defensive line, and a lot of that money is old players. Even Javon Hargrave, who's on the younger side of that defensive line, outside of like Josh Sweat and people like that, even Javon Hargrave is about to be 28, 29. So,
Right.
I mean, they got some decisions to make. So I definitely agree. I think that defense is the biggest position of need right now. And I've always said that I feel like defense wins. I'd rather see 7-0 or 3-0 games, you know what I'm saying? And us winning than score 60 points and give up 65, because I feel like that's where we are right now as a team, and it just kills me to watch. But I definitely feel like it's definitely a defensive draft. I want to go even deeper on that. Would you, and I know this is just about the number 6 pick, I know we're just staying there, but looking forward, would you even be against maybe going defense first 2 rounds, like going defense first and second round?
No, I mean, it all depends on who's there. You're going to get a stud. At least on paper, you're going to get a stud at that 6th pick. And then depending on who falls to the second round, because of our record, because of how it works, we have an early second round pick too. So depending on who falls there, depending on what trades we make, maybe we get even 2 second round picks for all we know. You can keep going defense. It won't hurt to bolster the defense. Like you said, defense wins championships. And the teams that can win games that are like 13-10 or 14-7, like those kind of games, that's when like your offense is struggling, but your defense can really step up and be those people to hold down this team when you need them to be. I mean, just like you said, you don't want to see us score 60 points. It's basically what happened when we played the Dolphins 2 seasons ago. We scored 32 points, but then the Dolphins scored either like 35 or 38 points, something crazy like that. And it's just like, how did we lose that game? And it just goes to show that was kind of like this writing on the wall of like, all right, maybe we need to do something with our defense, and we did not handle it last year. So why not handle it this year, especially if we're quote unquote rebuilding?
Yeah, facts. I love those quotes too. Those are what really make it a statement. So Ted says, would you guys be disappointed if we took Surtain over one of the stud wideouts? I'll go first real quick. Yeah. I personally, realistically, I think that Surtain may be a stretch. All right. Let's look at this the way that I actually think the draft is going, and let's look at it how our draft is going, right? Everybody that we've spoken to as far as their fan base, they would like to either trade back or trade up. Like, I feel like a lot of the people behind us want to trade up if there's a quarterback available. So I feel like if that's something that happens, like you're looking at, like maybe the Panthers want to go up a couple spots, maybe even who was that number 9 that we just did? The Broncos. Maybe the Broncos want to move up a couple spots and get a quarterback. If that happens, maybe you move back a couple spots and then take Patrick Surtain. At number 6, I feel like you have to go with the surefire, like, and I just feel like cornerback in general has never been that, position. I know we kind of differ there a little bit. Like, it just, to me, I feel like it takes a little bit of time for cornerbacks to get to be that number 1 lockdown guy. But what do you think?
Yeah, to answer this question, I personally wouldn't be disappointed, just because if you go that route and if you take, let's say, a corner at that 6th spot, no one's going to fault you, and by fault you, I'm talking to Howie here. No one's going to get mad at Howie if Surtain doesn't pan out, because he's considered one of the highest graded corners in this coming up draft. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with taking a guy that's higher graded than reaching on a dude that all of a sudden doesn't pan out. So would I be mad about taking Surtain at 6? No. We need, like I just said, we need corners. We need someone opposite of Slay. We need someone that can build and learn from Slay, and then maybe put like Maddox at the slot, or maybe even move Maddox to safety. I know he can move around places, and he's fast, and he's willing to do so. So, but him on the outside just wasn't doing it. And we do need that second corner spot. And I wouldn't be mad about Surtain or even like a Caleb Farley.
And let me go even deeper because, F it. We got time, right? We got time. We ain't got enough time. But let me go even deeper with it. I did a video not too long ago on Philly the podcast. Go check us out on YouTube. But I did a video early on Rasul Douglas. Obviously, when we were talking to Panther Nation podcast, shout out to my guy over there. He gave us a little bit of insight saying that Rasul Douglas would not be retained. So I did a little video talking about him coming back to the Eagles. Now, is that something? And a lot of people in the comments were saying, "Oh, he needs to move to safety. He needs to move to safety." Surface level, obviously, we're not doing much research on him on his year last year, but he did pretty well. You know what I'm saying? So, surface level, how would you feel about that type of reunion, bringing him back?
I wouldn't be mad about it. I mean, when he did play, yeah, there were times when he got burnt, but there were times where he was also attacking the ball and getting interceptions. So I can't be mad about that. When all of last year, I think our corners or defensive backs had like 1 to 2 interceptions themselves. So, I mean, bringing a guy back that was able to get those interceptions, I wouldn't be mad about that. Moving into safety may be ideal. He has a bigger body. Honestly, Jaquette kind of reminds me of him in a sense of body frame and size compared to actual ability because, I mean, granted, Rasul didn't look that great on the Eagles, and maybe Jaquette just needs some different coaching there. So who knows? Maybe we wouldn't need a Rasul Douglas because we have a young guy like Jaquette that we can maybe develop this offseason if we're given the opportunity to really have the offseason as normal, like OTAs and such.
Yeah, I think at this point the Eagles would probably take me or you at cornerback. Like I
played a little in high school. But hey,
bro, I didn't. I was D-line. So, and I wasn't that great at it. So, I don't think they want me, but it is okay. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, we're depleted. I forget what show it was. What do you remember which mock draft it was that we were like looking at our cornerbacks and we were like, damn, we have no cornerbacks at all.
It was literally maybe 2 Saturdays or Sundays ago.
Yeah.
I think it was just a random live in, a call in or something. And we were just like, we took a minute. We're just like, wow.
We have nobody. So that defense, man, we need to figure it out. And, I like Rasul Douglas. I always like Rasul Douglas. I like the size that he has. And I think that someone's going to try and or not someone, I feel like we are going to try and find someone like him in the draft. Like I see a lot of, bigger, lanky type of cornerbacks that are going to be available 3rd to 5th round. So,
right.
Why not just go get somebody that was a little bit homebred and, and go from there. So I wouldn't be mad at that. So a couple of people are saying how we're going to screw up the draft and people are loving Pitts. I just don't, with me, I do like Pitts and I see the allure. You know what I'm saying? I do see the allure, but I feel like it's more that he can do 2 things, which is special. You know what I'm saying? Right. That he can be a tight end and a wide receiver, but can he be elite at either one? To pick him at number 6, you got to be elite at something. You got to, you know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't know if he would be that guy. What do you think about Kyle Pitts after a little bit of time? Because I know we kind of got caught in the hype as well a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch his highlights and you just watch his tape, yeah, he's a big kid, and especially if he runs like a 4.4 or faster or 4.45, whatever, that's enticing. That's something like, wow, that dude's huge, fast, and can catch, and it has great hands. But I feel like someone in one of our lives when we were talking about Kyle Pitts was like, if you're gonna go ahead and draft Pitts to be a wide receiver, why not take the bona fide wide receiver in Jamar Chase? I mean, Jamar Chase, he didn't even play all last year, and he still has, over the last 2 years, the most 20-plus yard catches for touchdowns. So he has one more than Devontae Smith and didn't play a whole year. So if we're going to go ahead and take a guy to basically play wide receiver and Jamar Chase is right there at 6, you can't go ahead and say, let me grab Kyle Pitts when you have a bona fide wide receiver there that's literally studies and plays and does everything he needs to be the best wide receiver possible, not a multi-faceted position person.
Yeah, now which brings me to the next point of this whole video, I guess you could say, is who will be there. And it opens the question, do you trade back if you're Howie? Like I know me and you, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat will probably agree we don't trust Howie that much. You know what I'm saying? Howie's probably not the most trusted person in our organization, especially when it comes to draft night. But there will be, if it goes how it's looking like it's going to go, where there might be 2 or 3 quarterbacks that go in the first couple 4, 5 picks, we might be a prime candidate to trade back. So what are your thoughts about trading back, and like what would it take for you to be like, we can't trade back, or is there that type of player in this draft right now?
I'm thinking, like, let's say if your ideal situation happens where a couple quarterbacks, offensive line, and maybe someone surprises you, like the Falcons grab someone on the defense early in this draft, right? So you're sitting there, and maybe Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, and Patrick Surtain are right there, and the Broncos reach out or the Lions reach out, and they want to move up to grab Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Then I'm comfortable trading back to those spots, right? Because you know that at least 3 of those guys that you want are there, and you have the opportunity to grab them no matter what. And then you also can maybe get another 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick, whatever the trade is. But if you're going to ask me, we never traded once to the Bears, and the Bears want to move up from 20 to 6 because they want to draft one of these guys. There's the Howie proof. I disagree, because I don't trust Howie making a pick that late in the draft after last year. We saw what happened. We saw him grab, and I don't mean to talk bad about Jalen Reagor, because he wasn't really given the opportunity to be the player that maybe he is. 1, due to injury, 2, due to coaching. So it's hard to say, but you pass up on a guy like Justin Jefferson, who proved himself in the SEC, LSU. Like, this guy was, once again, one of these bona fide wide receivers, and you passed up on him for a guy that you didn't even use. I feel like he was a great punt returner in college, and we used him once. He got a touchdown, and then we just kept putting Greg Ward back there. So I just didn't understand any of this. So that's why it'd be hard for me to really trade back that far. But to go back like 2 spots, 3 spots, knowing that our guys that we all want are still available, then I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and all right, so we have to do it, because it is what it is. Like, we just have to bring it up. So if you're sitting at 6, okay, and some way, somehow only Trevor Lawrence is the only one that goes off the board at number 1, and you're sitting at 6, all the quarterbacks are still there. You still got Zach Wilson. You still got, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Would you sit there and be like, would you take a quarterback? Let's just get to the nitty gritty. Would you take a quarterback in any situation, or is it like, no, not at all, not happening?
No, I can't bring myself. I've been through too much. Like, it's been so much energy drained from rooting for Carson, being that guy, like, always sticking up for him all season long, to finally coming to the realization, like, all right, he's not the guy. I'm going to start putting my energy toward Hurts. I mean, the guy, I like Hurts with personality, his mentality, the way he's been presenting himself in press conferences, through all the Carson Wentz drama. It's hard not to root for this guy now and hope for the best for Jalen Hurts. And if you draft a quarterback at that spot, you're essentially telling Jalen Hurts, you're expendable. We don't really want you. We don't know why we took you last year in the second round. That'd be such a waste of last year's pick. And then what are you going to say? Oh, we need competition for what? At this point, develop Hurts, put the weapons around him, or make a stout defense. So if he's not that great, your defense can hold the team down.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I wouldn't be mad. I will say that I wouldn't, depending on who it is. I really, honestly wouldn't. I wouldn't sit there and be like, "Oh my." Let me say it. I wouldn't be mad at the player. I'd be mad at the pick. Kind of like I am with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a good player, and I think he's a good person, just like you said, and he's shown that he's willing to fight, which I think is a huge thing. Won't say no names, but Carson Wentz. He's shown that, the attitude that I think a lot of Philly fans want to see. But
so which quarterback would you be cool with? Like, if they were to draft a quarterback, like you said, if all of them are available and they said, we're drafting a quarterback, which one would you be cool with?
I mean, obviously, if Trevor Lawrence was still there, obviously but realistically, I mean, they dropped for a reason, though, right? They would drop for a reason. So it would depend on what that reason was. But if it was like Zach Wilson, I really like what that kid is. I would love Trey Lance. I know I've been on the Trey Lance train for a little while. I think he's something special. And I don't really like Justin Fields, but I'm a Penn State fan, so it's kind of hard for me to really say that I would get Justin Fields. But I guess he's good, you know. Just I feel like he's bounced around a lot, and it wasn't because he had like, you know what I'm saying? Like he just went to, I don't know. I just don't like his whole story. I just don't like him as a person, I guess. That's where I am on him. But I like Trey Lance. I love Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson can be just as good as Trevor Lawrence in the long run, depending on what scheme he's in. But yeah, I mean, probably those guys, but I'm not moving up, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're getting somebody like Trevor Lawrence. Like I'm not moving up. But those guys, I wouldn't be pissed at. Like I said, I wouldn't be mad at the player. I'd be more mad at the pick. But that's what Howie would do. Howie would definitely do some dumbass stuff like that. We could curse on here more. We could curse on here a little bit more. We could do some dumbass like that. But yeah, I mean, so it's, you know, I wouldn't be mad at trading back a couple. Like I said, if it's something that makes sense. But it brings in so many different players, because if you can even trade back up into the first. So like, let's say that, you know, Carson Wentz does get traded. We're playing hypothetical here, right? Let's say we do have another first round pick. We know we want to get rid of Ertz. We know we want to do a bunch of different things. If you can somehow be at that 6th pick and there's a quarterback available, and you know you have the 20th pick, but you also have Ertz, and somebody saying, hey, you know, maybe give me Ertz on your 20th pick and you can move up to like 12, 13, something like that. You grab your even 15, you know, somebody like the Patriots, like that makes a little bit of sense. Like if that happens, you can grab a quarterback and you can maybe grab yourself a wide receiver. I mean, there's a couple wide receivers that are in there. I'm playing devil's advocate here, obviously. Like I'm not saying I want this to happen, but you know, if he pulls out the Madden controller and goes crazy, you never know what'll happen. You know what I'm saying? So Let me ask you a question. What are some names that you've heard that you're just like, we should definitely not pick him? Like, I do not want to see him in Eagles green. Is there anybody like that?
I mean, I don't know if there's really anyone like that. I'm always down to have whoever, depending on where the spot is, to really develop as a person and kind of put like whatever drama they have in college to the wayside. I mean, we saw that with like a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, who he had so much drama in college that people pass. And I wanted us to get the Honey Badger, but we pass on him, and look at him now. The guy is like a stud. So sometimes like some immaturity things that you can try to maybe as work on and have them develop as a man, as a grown up, because these are still kids. And at the end of the day, they're young adults that sometimes they make mistakes in college, depending on the severity of stuff. But for just to answer your question, for just like the 6th spot in general, I wouldn't want, if Chase and Devontae Smith are gone, I wouldn't want Howie to be like, I know the fan base wants a wide receiver, so let's pass on these other studs and grab like a Jalen Waddle and hope that he's something phenomenal. That to me would be like a reach. Even though I know Jalen Waddle is a good player, and he obviously he's talked in this discussion for a reason, but there's so many holes on this team that you can grab the best person at a different position rather than maybe the 3rd or 4th best at the wide receiver position at the 6th spot.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't want to go into the draft with a decision made of a position. Like if you go into it like we need to get a wide receiver at number 6, like you said, then you end up getting somebody like Waddle or somebody that's maybe will drop to like the mid round, you know, or something like that, or middle of the round, I should say. I will say I don't want to see us go offensive line. And I know a lot of people in here are probably thinking we need offensive line. I don't want to go offensive line that high. You know, I don't mind doing it later in the rounds. You know, I feel like we've hit on a couple good players, even in, you know, undrafted free agents. We've hit on a couple good ones. So I wouldn't be mad at that. But I don't want to go take Rashawn Slater. I think that's his name, Rashawn Slater, something like that. I don't want to take the second best offensive lineman. Like you said, you got to take the best player at that position. Like if it's Patrick Surtain, if all the wide receivers are gone and Patrick Surtain is next, maybe that's the guy you grab. If it's Micah Parsons, you know, I love Micah Parsons, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the guy you grab. It sucks because I wish if I had more faith in Howie, I feel like this is the perfect draft to trade back in. Like it really is, because there's so much depth. there's so much depth, and we have so many holes. Like it's ridiculous. So I mean, it is what it is.
I agree with
What's
you
he
on
saying?
that offensive line spot, because if you look at our offensive line on paper, let's say Kelsey doesn't retire and we can have a healthy offensive line for majority of the season. You figure you have either Mailata or Dillard at left tackle, you have Sayamalu at left guard, Kelsey at center, Brandon Brooks at right guard, and then Lane Johnson at right tackle. That's a solid offensive line. Or even let's say Sayamalu's not right there, then you can put in a Herbig or something. That's still good. I understand we need depth on the offensive line, because as soon as two of those guys go out, then we're back to square one like last season. But you don't get depth at the 6th spot. That doesn't make sense to me. That wouldn't make sense to me. You wouldn't go ahead and draft the second best lineman just to be a backup on your team. That would be silly. I know we may be looking for the future, I guess, but you can still look for the future in the 3rd, 4th round rather than at that number 6 spot.
Facts. I agree. And I mean, I know I'm kind of backpedaling now, but Ray makes a good point that Landon Dickerson, if he's available in the 3rd, I would love him. That's a center, and we might need a center. We might need a immediate center, depending on what Jason Kelsey wants to do. But that's another position. There's not really like a guy in the 1st round. Well, not the top 10 at least, not the top 10. He says they all old and get injured. My thing is to combat that. My thing with this team, especially the offensive line, is okay, you take away the top 5. And this is how I look at offensive lines all the time. Like, take away your top 5. It's almost like basketball. Take away your top 5, your starting 5, and then you look at the bench. I think our bench, Jordan Mailata, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Jordan Mailata. Did I say Jordan Mailata? Andre Dillard. We have some possible really good players. We have some possible starters as backups. And I know a lot of people look at last year and be like, oh, we were terrible, but we had 4, like pick which lineup was the worst, because we had 14 different offensive lines. So
and one of them include Jamon Brown.
And one of them, Jamal, you see, I didn't say his name. Bad Jamon Brown. Oh my God, I hate that man. He kind of blew up this channel though. That was my channel, I should say, the Philly, the podcast. I did like a reaction to all his sacks. And oh my God, that guy is terrible. Remember when he was trying to fix his sleeve? Yeah, in the middle of a play while his
Wentz. That was just
tackled Wentz. I forgot about that one. Oh my God, Jamon Brown was garbage. Oh my God, we could go a whole hour about just Jamon Brown.
The problem with that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make it. He's a veteran too, so that's where, you can go ahead and get a rookie and hope for the best, but sometimes offensive linemen just don't pan out, and to not grab the top guy early in the draft, then if you try to go get the 2nd, 3rd best guy, it's tough, especially at the 6th spot when you got a veteran that comes in that was supposed to at least be a semi-rock during our whole injury debacle, and he ended up being worse than any of the rookies we've had.
Facts. And Danny says, I thought Herbig was originally a center till they moved him. And he was. So that's a good point. But my thing with that is they moved him obviously to guard. Like, he didn't do bad. He didn't do terrible. He did pretty well, actually. So, and Isaac Sayamalu's not a GOAT. Isaac Sayamalu's not the greatest player when he plays. He is very solid, very good. But, it comes down to an age contract thing. Maybe you go with the younger player if they're around the same production. But do you then move Herbig to center? Like, if Kelsey does move on. So that's a really good point. That's a very good point. He said Jamon Brown was the first O-lineman to get a sack. Oh, God, it was terrible. It was terrible. Soul Exchange Music says we have some promising young talent, low-key, but they want to give the old broken vets the playing time.
And that's the positive of having, like, this new coaching staff, right? Like, I know Sirianni's his whole coach thing was not great, but listen, he kept saying we're going to dive into the tape, and everyone is pretty much open for business. So it's a positive that we don't have Doug Peterson, no offense to him, but like any of the regular coaching staff, because, hey, now these young guys can really show out and show like, hey, I might be the best one at this position. You have no loyalties to anyone on this team right now.
Yeah, big facts. And something just dropped in my house. I'm like, somebody dying. But but yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's good to see that these guys are going to get the playing time, get the chances to go out there, and it works for the defense, offense, everybody. And maybe I guess the only person didn't really work out for is Carson because he doesn't really want to fight. I said this wasn't going to be about Carson. I'm sorry. I'm doing it again, man. I'm sorry.
It's hard, man. It's hard until he's
really
actually
is.
traded.
Yeah, it really
That probably was a bump. Yep.
Matt Pryor low-key was a low-key watching the Chiefs was like watching the Eagles during the Super Bowl.
If not worse, bro.
We went crazy during the Super Bowl. He's saying like Eagles all season.
I'm assuming he meant like Eagles all season because literally every time Patrick Mahomes dropped back, this dude was running 50 yards backwards. It was insane.
He says, yeah, I agree, fellas. If Sewell drops, it gets interesting for me because if healthy, our O-line, but it'd be tough to pass up on a monster like that. And it depends on what the value of somebody like Dillard or I really don't want to give up Jordan Mailata up. I feel like Jordan Mailata to our team has more value than Andre Dillard does, unless he's like an all-pro left tackle. Just because Jordan Mailata has shown he'll play just about anything. I mean, I think he's had snaps at guard, obviously at tackle, left and right. So, I would love to keep somebody like Mailata. If Dillard has like late first round potential trade bait, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't know. Like you said, I don't know if you draft depth like that. I just wish we could trade back. I wish that was something I felt comfortable with. But no.
But like you brought up, what do you think Ertz's value is? I mean, he had his press conference. He was crying. He made it seem like he's not coming back. Granted, there's still like 2 years left on his contract. But what do you think he's worth? Is there maybe if we don't even need to trade back, do you think we can get back in the first or early second?
It depends on if we want to package some things together. I think Ertz on his own is probably, in my opinion, worth like a third. Realistically, I think like him by himself is probably around a third rounder. I mean, if you put him with something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you can spike that up a little bit, get into the second round, maybe a late first round, but I don't really see him getting us something high. I think, like I said earlier, I think if you can package him in like a second, you might be able to get like into the middle of the first, like maybe like 15th or a little bit lower than that. But I don't think he's got the same thing with Wentz. I don't think they both have the value that we're, whatever. Let's just talk about it. It is what it is. We're not going to avoid it for a whole hour. We tried so hard. But yeah, I don't think they're going to have the value that a lot of people are looking at. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it comes down to our franchise. Like Howie is in a really weird predicament because if he does get rid of, Wentz probably is going to want to go. If you do get rid of Wentz, right? And you're left with just Jalen Hurts on your roster, you have to get a quarterback. Like, and I'm not saying at 6, but at some point in this offseason, you're going to have to either bring back Nate Sudfeld and get like a nobody type of guy to develop, or you're going to have to go get a veteran, maybe like a Nick Foles if he ends up getting cut or somebody like that. But that's going to happen. So like, does he just ultimately bite the bullet completely and just say, let's just restart this whole, quarterback room? That's a real possibility that I think people are like, that'll never happen, but it could.
Yeah,
it could.
Right. I guess just because Hurts is so young and he's only a second-year player that it's hard to really fathom like using the 6th pick on a quarterback. But you're right. I mean, eventually this quarterback room is probably blowing up right now. Now, my other question regarding that with Ertz and people in the comments, I would love to know your answer on this. Would you be upset or mad if they packaged Wentz and Ertz together to a team and sent them both together?
It doesn't depend on what team. Now, I wouldn't want to see that. I don't want to give another team. I mean, I don't want to give another team something that's been proven that will work. Like that's basically giving a team a new offense, right? Like in my opinion, that's basically you just gave them like your offense. You just gave them what was your offense in like 2018 when he broke the record. That's the year he broke the record, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah,
I could be wrong, but yeah, you're basically giving them that, right? I don't know. I don't really, I like Carson, and I just feel like his mentality is going to be really hard for him to get over. Like, I feel like that mental part of it, and I could be totally, like, we could all be totally wrong. People could be telling him, just don't say anything. It might be killing him. Like, this silence might be killing. Exactly. Like, and if that's the case, then I'm 100% wrong. I will bite my pride, eat my pride, whatever the saying is, and it is what it is. But like at this point, surface level, it looks like he's like a little soft. It looks like he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to compete. So maybe I don't care. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe, you know, they're getting a soft, broken quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, then who cares, right? You get the best value you can. So in that mind frame, like, I guess it depends on how you really look at him. But if you think that you're getting a first or 2 firsts out of him, I don't think that you look at him as a package deal type guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, how would you feel? How would you feel about that? We got a lot of those.
That would be tough. I don't think you could really get the value back for if you were to trade Ertz and Wentz together. Like you said, you're basically handing them an offense. You're handing them 2 guys that know each other's timings, that know each other well, that are buddies. I mean, it didn't really look like it much this season, but then to see them at the end of the season just sitting late night with Kelsey, him, and Ertz all together, then it's like, all right, so maybe they are actually boys after all. And it's just been a bad season for everybody. So to send them together, that'd be tough to really do, to sit back as an Eagles fan and be like, well, we got like 2 2s and a 3 and maybe some second string linebacker in the mix or something like that. And to sit back and be like, yeah, we're going to kill it. And then we have to trust Howie to make judgment calls on these draft picks. It would be tough. It would be tough to see, especially if they both succeed. It's one thing if they succeed separate and it is what it is. But if they went to another team and just killed it for a whole season while we're still in the rebuild mode, quote unquote, then it would definitely be tough to watch.
Yeah, everything's good when you're winning, right? So everything will be good when they're losing. If they're losing and we're like, hey, at least we got our picks. You know, Go you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. But like Jordan Reyes said it best. They are best friends. It will give another team a whole new offense. Yep. And, you know, like I said, it depends on if you really think that Carson Wentz is somebody that can even be coached. Because it's like especially if you bring over Zach Ertz, you're bringing over basically you're bringing over like what Carson Wentz wants. Like that's what you got. Like you're not bringing over a possible different offense or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. I don't know.
Man.
Let's get back to some of these. It says Ertz will not have much value, but love the guy. I just feel like it's going a whole different way. Like the whole tight end position, I should say, excuse me, is totally different. We see Kyle Pitts. We see even Pat Freiermuth, who a lot of people aren't talking about. There's a couple of tight ends in this draft that are going to be really good. And the overall trend with them is that they're all athletic. They're all, you know, basically wide receivers and way bigger bodies. You know what I'm saying? So I think that will hurt Ertz. Saying hurt Ertz is like the weirdest thing in a row. But before we get into this pick, do be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. We do have 46 people in here. Like I said, I am Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco. This is my brother Brandon, aka Shaky B, and we do run Philly the podcast. So definitely come check us out on YouTube. We will be here every Saturday, so we are gonna have a lot of fun with y'all. So let's get into it. Let's talk about. We'll do top 3. All right. We'll do a top 3 of who you would want. And maybe we'll even go a little crazy and actually put them in order. So I'm going to do mine first. I'll do mine and then I'll give you the floor and you can do your top 3.
Sounds good, brother.
So my top 3, I would go number 3. Number 3, I would go Micah Parsons, to be honest. Number 3, I would do Micah Parsons. And I do that because I feel like especially if all the wide receivers are gone, if all the people that I'm going to say in the first 2 are gone, I think that he's going to be the best player. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of position, he'll be the next best player. So that's the guy I would go with number 3. Number 2, and this is assuming that they would be both there, I would go Devontae Smith. He would be number 2. And the reason I say that is because I think that Jamar Chase would be my number 1 option. And I just think he's a better wide receiver. I think he's more built for the league at this point. You know what I'm saying? And I think he would be very good in our offense. And I think all 3 of them will be very good for our team. I think Devontae Smith is a little bit more. There's a little less that you can do with Devontae Smith than that you can do with Jamar Chase. I think you said it best in one of our lives before. Like, if you're a good wide receiver, you can just adjust. And I feel like Jamar Chase has the body and physicality in his play to adjust to anything he does, anywhere he goes. So those would be my top three. I think Jamar Chase, if I was picking, I would probably take Jamar Chase, even though I love Micah Parsons. I love Micah. But
Yeah.
I just think those are the best three players that might be there.
Yeah. And so my number 3 would be Patrick Surtain. I know that you get a little iffy on taking a corner that early, no matter who it is, but there's only so many positions that we can take at that spot in order to really bring in the best guy available. And bringing in a corner would be beneficial to our team. Even if this is a rebuild season, then this would be the season for him to really learn and to develop. So if he struggles for a season, that's okay, because everyone right now is getting the mindset of we are rebuilding at this point. So Patrick Surtain would be my number 3. Micah Parsons would be my number 2. We do need a linebacker, and that's bad. Like, we need someone with a high motor. This kid has played multiple positions throughout his life. I believe he played running back and was a punt returner at one point in high school, and then he was also defensive end. This guy is he's all over the place, and he would really, really help our defense out and could be that leader potentially. I mean, debating on his off the field stuff and everything like that. But like I said, sometimes you have to chalk it up as their kids, depending on the severity of everything. I'm obviously, if there's something serious, and stay away. But if there's some immaturity things that you feel like, all right, he was 19, 20 when he said it, but he's going to develop as a man. We can even get a mentor in here, whatnot, for young guys that have some baggage coming in, off field stuff. But on the field, that guy is just an animal. So you couldn't go wrong taking him. And then with the assumption that Devontae Smith is gone early in this draft.
I had to do it back to you.
No need for the drum roll.
That was funny, right? You saw how I put the music in?
Yeah.
I was like, he said no drum roll. How about music? Right.
But I agree. I would go with what our mock draft was, and because that was my pick too, is Jamar Chase. That guy's an animal. We do need that possession receiver. We need guys that can be that role that Alshon was at one point, but now he's just not. And I don't even know if Alshon will be on this team next season, but we do need that guy that could be like a younger, better Allen Robinson, for instance, or something like that. So I think that Jamar Chase would be the best the best player to pick at that point if he's available. But like we talked about earlier today, I wouldn't be mad if we went defense too. So that's why I had 2 defensive players as my 2-3. And then as my hopeful wish list pick would be Jamar Chase at number 1 or number 6, but my number 1.
Jamar Chase. Yes, I think we're both just. I think we both just gave in. I mean, we've been arguing about it for and it's not even giving in. It's just it is what it is. He's going to probably be the best player available that Howie will actually pick. Right. You know what I'm saying? It just actually makes sense for us. Shout out to my guy Cameron Holmes. Shout out to everybody that I've seen, over on our channel, Philly the podcast. I appreciate you guys coming over, you know what I'm saying, coming hanging out with us. Yes, and sir. As for the Cowboys pick, I know this has nothing to do with A2D. I'm sorry, Tom. Don't beat me up. Please don't kick me out. But no, yeah, as for the pick for Cowboys, we're going to have Jay Tuck and Cowboys fan talk only. I did reach out to Law Nation, so if he's down to join, he's definitely more than welcome. But those are the guys we're going to go with, and then we'll announce everybody else coming up. But shout out to my guy Cameron Holmes, man. He's always rocking with it, and I appreciate him. He says Fryermuth is the reason I'd pass on Pitts at 6. Can get Pat in the second round, and it isn't Pat Pitts, but isn't far off. I like that. Maybe next week, maybe over this week, me and you will talk a little bit more about what we like going forward. We'll get on some of these draft simulators or whatever, and we'll see what we can really do for the next couple weeks. But yeah, no, I like Jamar Chase. A lot of people say Patrick Surtain. I like Patrick Surtain. I told you he's a little handsy for me. We saw how that can come and bite you in the butt in the Super Bowl. maybe it was because they were playing against Tom Brady. Maybe it was because they were grabbing, every time that the guy would try and make a break. You decide. I'm not here to do that.
Yeah, we won't get into that. That'd be like bro, I was getting so mad. Like some of them, yes, you get it. That's holding. But that one interception that Matthew had, and first of all, never mind. Let's keep it moving.
Not preach, brother, because I feel you. It was. I'll say this much. I'm not a Tom Brady hater anymore. I've just kind of accepted whatever. You're the GOAT. Just don't be a GOAT when my team needs to play you. You know what I'm saying? That's just where I'm at. But it was definitely. It's not the way you want to see a Super Bowl go. I'll say that.
They make it hard for these defensive guys to really play, and if they're not doing something egregious, let's let it rock out. Like that's the whole point.
Exactly.
Like, it's a grown man sport. It's physical. Let them be physical. And that's what I like about Surtain. Yeah, he might be a little handsy, but at least he's up in these guys' faces and is there and not trying to like shy away or nervous about getting a call. Like I'd rather have a guy that's in their face and really getting the offense nervous as someone that they have to maybe throw away from than a guy that's trying to adhere by the rules and like giving some separation, because we see what these wide receivers can do with minimal separation, let alone with a decent amount. They can do the craziest of catches. So I like how Surtain is up there in their face.
Yeah, and then Jordan Reyes says, "What do you think about Caleb Farley?" So we had Cecil Lamey from from Denver Radio, Sports Radio 104.3, The Fan, and he was talking about the difference between Caleb and Patrick Surtain, and he said he didn't think it was too far off. If I'm not mistaken, was what he was saying. He thought it was pretty close. I like both of them. I think that Caleb Farley is good, but my thing with Patrick Surtain is I just feel like he was born for this. Like, you can't get much closer to the position than having your father play the position and being a great player, at that. So, but what do you think about Farley from what you know about him?
I have to go back. I need to actually start watching some of these guys more. I've been focusing on who I think is going to be in the top 10 right now, and then start moving to that 10 to 20, and then start looking at second round guys. But from what I've heard, it's comparable. I feel like every time we've had a live, there have been people that say either Farley or even a JC Horn. I honestly, if we are to trade back and we're out of the top 10, I wouldn't even be mad if all these corners are gone between maybe Farley and Surtain. I wouldn't even be mad about getting Asante Samuel Jr. if we were to trade back and we're in those teens or early 20s or something, if we got some crazy offer for that 6th spot. There's a good amount of corners in this draft, and I like them right now. So I do need to go and watch a little bit more on Farley, but from what I see from the subscribers and everyone talking in the comments, he seems promising, and I'm definitely excited to really watch his film.
Yeah, and I like his last name. Asante Samuels Jr. I'm trying to say his last name and Jr. at the same time. But Asante Samuels Jr., I think he'll be there in the second. I think that's a guy you can definitely target, especially at 6. Might be even a little bit of a reach at 6 in a second, but I wouldn't be mad at it. Would not be mad at it at all. I would love to see him on this team. And he says Sewell Bear. I'm assuming you mean Barrymore, the tackle, the defensive tackle. If that's who you're talking about, I don't know how I feel about your list, man. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know you. I know I'm new to this house, so don't kick me out. I left my shoes at the door, but I don't know, bro. I don't know. We all family now, so we can disagree. It's okay. My boy Eagles Lane, I wanted to ask this question. Would you guys take that alleged Colts proposed offer for 2 second round picks and a future 3rd or 4th for Wentz, or do you hold out for more?
I'm taking that. I think 2 second round picks is just as good as 1 first round pick. We've seen that our second round picks can be good at times outside of, depending on how Hurts goes, but besides that, between Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, I believe LaShawn McCoy was a 2nd round pick. We have made good 2nd round picks throughout maybe the last 10 years. So if we can get some kind of value, because it's starting to look like we're about to get nothing for Wentz, or we're about to end up losing some kind of value. And the fact that before the whole Matthew Stafford deal, before any of that, we were all pretty much thinking, dang, if we can at least get a 6th-round pick for Wentz after the way he played and get this contract off our books, I'll take that. So the fact that, yes, the Matthew Stafford trade happened, and yes, it was ridiculous and all that fun stuff, we can't compare it's 2 different situations. Wentz played terrible to the point that he was benched. Goff wasn't benched really. I mean, he got hurt, and there was a whole maybe mini competition at the end, but Wentz flat out got benched and wasn't even given an opportunity to come back the following week. I don't even feel like there was a battle. It was like within 2 days, it's like, we're going to run with Hurts. It's like, damn, yeah, we knew you were going to bench Wentz at some point, but you're not even giving the guy a chance to fight all week. Like, anyways, so that just lost my train of thought right there. Wow. Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm going back into this whole drama.
2 seconds in
I would take the 2 seconds if that's the offer at hand.
I would too. I say take the best offer you can get. To Cameron Holmes' point, if that offer's still on the table, I think that taking on Nick Foles makes that 1st-round pick a little bit less sexy, because if you get 2 2nd-round picks, you're not taking on nobody's contract. You're just getting rid of Wentz, and you're moving on. Like, I feel like if having someone attached to that trade is exactly that. Having someone attached to that trade, like, it would suck if it's somebody like Darius Leonard, but that's never going to happen. But like, if it's a decent linebacker that ends up panning out and being great, okay, then he wouldn't have to worry about that. But if he's somebody that's not that great, they're always going to be like, and we gave up Wentz for this guy. We know how Philly is, man. Oh, yeah. That man is going to get roasted if he's not great. I know your relationship with Duke Riley. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, look at what's his name, Jannard Avery. We gave up a 4th for him. How many times a year do we say we gave up a 4th for this guy? All right. And he has not done anything. He barely sees the field.
Right. I think he had like 1 good game. I was like, oh, that's Jannard. And then
seriously,
never saw him again.
Seriously, like I think I saw him one time bringing some water out. He did really well. That was really about it. That was really about it. 4th-round pick on that guy. He's good in Madden. He's really good on Madden because he's got speed. All right. But unfortunately, this ain't Madden. Unfortunately. Yeah, Barrymore,
this is why it gets tricky with Howie and trades. Because, yes, he did hit like on a Jay Ajayi, and we killed it with that. But for like the last couple ones, it's just been questionable. Like you said, Jannard Avery for a 4th, Golden Tate for a 3rd. We didn't even use Golden Tate right. That's why
they didn't even know how to.
What?
They didn't even know how to. Remember?
Right?
Like,
yeah, they even admitted. They admitted. He's like, "Oh, we're still trying to figure out." I was like, "Why would you admit that? Why are you telling anybody that you don't know how to use a player that?" I feel like anyway, the guy was a running back, wide receiver, pretty much with crazy good hands. Like that dude could catch pretty much anything and just like take on a giant head from a linebacker, get up and be like, "What up?" Like you could have used him so many ways, and yet you didn't want to use him, and then you draft Jalen Reagor. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's good that we're getting this refresher of new coaches and everything like that, so we can see a new offense, see a new defense, see new talent, and all that stuff. So I don't know. Now I'm starting to really be concerned about any kind of trade that Howie's going to come up with, because I think he's going to end up messing this up.
Yeah, seriously. And I remember. It feels like just an hour ago we were talking about how we weren't going to talk about Carson Wentz in the show, but
we did minimum. But it was not too much.
It wasn't bad.
It was reverted back to Howie. So
it has reverted back to Howie. I like that. Good thinking. And I mean, realistically, like you said, the Golden Tate trade could have been a good trade, and I understand why you do it. I understand that type of idea. You're kind of. And if you look since 2017, I feel like we've just been holding on to this team, hoping that it works. And I think they even admitted it, that they kind of made a lot of sentimental decisions instead of like ones that would necessarily help the team going forward. If you look back before 2017, we were, I don't want to say flush, but we had a lot of draft picks. You know what I'm saying? We were drafting a lot of players, and we were getting in a lot of undrafted rookies that would come in and get developed. We don't have that anymore. So I think that's more important right now. Howie can be whatever he's going to be. If we can get him out of the draft room, awesome. But we need to go back to what worked. And I feel like they said they were going to do that last year. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the press conferences before we re-signed Jason Peters, it was like, we're going to go forward with youth. You know, we let go of Malcolm Jenkins because we're going with youth. And then you bring back somebody like Jason Peters who just didn't have it. He just did not have it this year. It just doesn't make sense to me. A lot of this stuff doesn't make sense to me.
And it comes back to Howie. I feel like it comes back to Howie because even Malcolm Jenkins himself said he didn't feel respected. It just felt like, I believe someone said that he even took like a little less money to go back to the Saints. So it's just like, what was going on that not only Malcolm Jenkins kind of said something, now you have a war, not even a war anymore, but your head coach is gone. That every fan thought it was because Carson, and Carson still doesn't want to be there. So it must have been Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, all these leaders just don't want to be around Howie. And maybe it's Howie and Jeff, who knows? But it's crazy. It's a crazy time to be an Eagles fan, to be honest.
It's a crazy time.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah, this is dope. This is crazy, man. I'm hoping that we hear something soon because that's really what it comes down to. I hope that everything just happens soon so we can get to moving because right now we're kind of stuck. We're stagnant, right? Like, I mean, at least some of these wide receivers are going out there and getting some practice in with Jalen Hurts coming up. But if he's not our quarterback, then that doesn't matter. It's like all this stuff is just held back. So
it's like y'all had to sleep over for no reason.
I know, right? Seriously, exactly. Like we all just like
just re-sign Jalen Mills. At least that would be semi of a leader. I really don't know who is going to be the leader of this defense outside of like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox.
Crickets. I really don't know. We don't have anybody. I mean, you gave that up in Malcolm Jenkins, obviously, and Fletcher Cox isn't a vocal guy. Like I feel like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, they're like, you know, those cartoons where it's like the really big dog and then like the little dog that talks a lot of junk. Like I feel like that's what it is. Fletcher Cox is that big dog, and Brandon Graham's is that little dog.
There was a soundbite that's literally exactly how you just described it.
Exactly.
Brandon Graham's chirping and Fletch was just trying to get his attention, and eventually he's like, "Yo, BG," and then he's like, "Yo, I got you. Don't worry, bro." It was pretty funny. It's exactly what you just described.
I feel like Darius Slay could be a leader. I don't know if I think he's, it's hard to ask that out of a second-year person, like, especially going through all this turmoil, and he didn't have the best year, so I'm sure he's kind of focused on him right now. It is what it is. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I'm sure leaders will emerge because that's what football is. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like,
Facts.
when
it could
things
be Hurts,
go wrong,
it could be Hurts and all this. So we'll see. I mean, if Hurts is given the opportunity, like everyone said, he's a coach's son. He kind of talks that way at times. But people have gravitated toward him, so he can be a leader. Derek Barnett, I mean, are we going to pick up his 5th-year option?
We already technically did, but obviously we can cut it at any time. But like $10 million, he better be a freaking leader. Like, dude, give me $10,000. I will be the leader you never thought you needed. Like, I'll be running everybody out the what's it called? The tunnel with the smoke and everything. Like, let's go. I would do that. Give me $10. I'll do that, bro.
Facts.
He said, I love that clip. All right, so Alex Singleton. Maybe. We'll see. He's like 28. Maybe.
He could be a leader.
Rodney McLeod. That's a good one. Yeah, he might.
Yeah.
I mean,
But isn't he a free agent, though? Or
I think, no, we have a second year on him. He's just hurt. He's not going to be in there for like a couple games, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. You don't need great corners if you have linebackers. Prove that draft for Parsons or wide receiver. I like your way of thinking. We are. So, all right. So, lastly, but not leastly, obviously, we answer the question, the poll question. Everybody in the comments section, let me know what you think. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We've stood around 40, 50 people. I appreciate you all.
Yes,
Be
sir.
sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Join the A2D family, just like we did over at Philly the podcast. Go check us out. We do live streams every day. But, so the question is this draft Howie proof?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So even if he follows just the instructions we've given. I feel like all he has to do is listen, right?
Yeah.
He just has to turn this podcast on and listen, right? That's all you got to do. We
Howie-
told him what he got to do.
How all he has to do is turn on the draft night and see, all right, who's that next name that's number one on Mel Kiper's draft list? Like, just go by all these people that have spent hours making this list. Who's the next one? Oh, that guy? Yeah, we should probably grab him. He's the next best player available. But instead, Howie's going to try to outsmart everybody. And I don't think this is Howie proof. It's sad but true.
Yeah, I'm not feeling like it's Howie proof. If we would have still had John Dorsey on this team, which I think is a big, we should have talked about that for a little while. But John Dorsey leaving, man, that's huge. I feel like it's saying that Howie probably wasn't going to give up the power that John Dorsey wanted. Because, John Dorsey seemed like he was the next in line for that position. So, kind of sucks. It looks like we're going to be drafting the same way, if not worse than the past couple of years. So, I want to be positive and say that he's going to just, follow the green line. You know what I'm saying? Follow the path. It's right in front of you.
Right.
The yellow brick road, if you will. Just follow it.
It's easy.
Just follow it in the draft odds and make the right decision. But I have to agree with you, man. I just don't think he has it in him to be smart or be level-headed at least.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
put his pride down for a second. Be like, all right, take the best player at this position. There's literally like 5 names at that spot for each position that nobody would be mad that you drafted. And he'll end up passing like Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle or something.
Oh my God. If he does that, we're going to obviously be going live for the draft, as I'm sure every single Eagles creator in the world will, but it's going to be a good time. I don't curse much, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the night. That's going to be the night we're going to be dropping some F-bombs on our channel, bro. But so we're saying that this is not Howie proof. I'm sure you guys probably feel the same. It is what it is. Sad emoji. Cry face. But it is what it is, man. I appreciate everybody coming through, checking us out, man. And again, thank you so much to Tom, the whole A2D family for letting us come on your platform and do our thing, man. Every Saturday at 1:00 we will be doing this. Sometimes it'll be an hour, sometimes it'll be a little bit longer. Maybe we'll bring some guests over. Who knows? We'll just, we're going crazy. We in another kitchen. We cooking what we want to cook. But like I said, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, share it with a friend, man. And please do check us out. My man does have the merch on. I don't, because I'm a terrible owner of a business. But be sure to come check us out at Philly the podcast. We do appreciate all the love. But other than that, I'm not doing nothing different but our outro. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
Other than that, you know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace!